What's up, everybody? In this week's episode of Unordinary, it was a very nice read. Pretty long episode to boot, and we got to find out new details about John I'd love to talk to you guys about. As always, I hope you guys subscribe to my channel, leave a like, and most importantly, hit the notification icon for more videos so you can be up to date on every last video I put on. Hope you guys enjoy. It was a nice day outside for John and Claire to hang out with each other. John was telling Claire about his idea of becoming one of the royals. Claire was quite puzzled by why he would want to achieve such a daunting task. John makes it apparent that he could use his title as royal to get back at anyone that ever messed with them. Claire doesn't think the amount of effort he'd have to put in to attain such a title would be worth it, seeing as most of the students are already scared of him as it is. Though that may be true, John knows that the royals have the benefit of participating in turf wars. And for those of you who do not know what it is, it's basically a combat tournament held between schools to test which school has the strongest students. Apart from having turf wars, it could serve towards John's power growth at his current level, seeing as learning from books and videos from the internet would no longer be as effective. And as John would put it, the fights in New Boston are too boring for him to learn anything new from. Now, from the perspective of power, I believe this was a good move for John to make. Not only would he be able to go up against vastly stronger opponents than he is, furthermore, he could familiarize himself with various abilities, and then expanding his knowledge of abilities he could learn to control and counter in battle. The next few panels shows a confrontation between John and Zirian, the current king of New Boston. John was obviously out of his league challenging Zirian to a match at his current level and experience. John's last school gives me a much better picture of how things are at different schools, especially at Wellston and everywhere else within the school system of Unordinary. At New Boston, the king had an ability level of 3.7, while in Wellston, the 10th strongest guy, Holden, had an ability level of 4.0. This really goes to show that the spread of ability can be very varied within the world of Unordinary. But then again, it's not like New Boston is an elite school compared to the caliber of Wellston. I think it was a nice detail because it really shows how people such as Arlo, Remy, and Sarah truly are among the elite within their population. Zirian stood over John condescendingly. He brings up how John recently has been attacking people in the school for his own practice purposes, supposedly. He also brings into question pertaining to John's former cripple status, and him having ability now does not give him the right to claw his way to the top. The crowd cheered for Zirian in agreement. Zirian knew he had figured out the type of person John was. He said, and I quote, "You're an arrogant, petty little brat who doesn't care about anyone but yourself." And I gotta say, people, I feel Zirian wasn't too far from what he said about John, in all honesty. I don't think he was completely right, but I think there's some honesty in what he has to say. I do feel John does care about other people besides himself, just that he's one of those people that should never, ever go into power. Zirian was walking away before letting John know that as long as he was king, John could forget about any chance of getting his throne. As you might expect, John didn't take this too well, and he became ballistic. His rage was pulsating all throughout his body. Claire tried to restrain John, knowing full well he was hurt enough as it is. Sadly, John's loss to Zirian did not crumble down his ever-growing ego. The next day, John went to Claire to know of any recent visions she may have had about him. Claire hasn't had any at all recently, she lets John know. However, John was furious at what she had told him. Claire lets John know of how far he has come and that he isn't weak anymore. John shouldn't feel bad about losing, especially since Zirian had the advantage of being much older in experience, in my opinion, and more time to hone his ability. He just needs to be patient for his body to catch up. Like, come on, John. Like, he's like much older than probably third year. I don't know, probably 15, 12. I'm not good with age, but that's just my guess here. But yeah, I agree with Claire. Like, in due time, he will get stronger and he will be able to beat him up. If only he were that patient, though. John stormed away from Claire, unsatisfied with what she had to say to him. John couldn't defeat Zirian before the end of their first year at New Boston. A few weeks into the break, Claire had another vision of John. We got to learn new things about how John's ability works in this episode. His ability samples the aura of his opponent, then he's able to manipulate his own to match it. Simpler abilities for him are easier to use, however complex and higher level abilities will take him longer to learn and use. John was never able to successfully copy Claire's low tier, might I add, clairvoyance ability, maybe hinting that time-based abilities might be his weakness. Then again, it's only like a little theory on my part. Over the summer before their second year, John practiced aura channels. Aura channels flow through them naturally when they activate their abilities, and it's self-regulating. John's ability allows him to alter the natural flow of his aura through these channels. which is why he can increase the intensity of abilities he copies, which most likely means he initially wasn't able to do this and he only can make it equal to his own level. John tested his newfound power with Adrian in a practice match, but John takes it too far with him. Claire quickly goes to Adrian's aid, showing visible concern for his well-being. The only thing John could realize was how much stronger he had gotten, and ignoring what he did to Adrian. Adrian seemed to be fine with what John did, but I am surprised at John. He knew him before he even met Claire, but John treated Adrian so harshly just now in this panel. Like, I think Adrian should have told him off before it got out of hand, though I can see him being hard for him to do that, between being happy for your friend and being scared that he just may beat you up just for talking back to him, and knowing that it's better to be on John's good side rather than on his bad side. To me, John shows a very intense mindset in these recent episodes, even before he even had his powers. He has always seen himself as superior and deserving of more or better, and now that he has the strength to enforce what he believes about himself, he now doesn't even show gratefulness to his friends who got him there and treats them like his subordinates, or sometimes even less than that. When the school year started, John made sure to challenge Zirian again. Both John and Zirian exchanged blows to each other, but John got the upper hand on Zirian, coming out the winner in the battle, granting John the former king's title, making him the youngest king in the history of New Boston. John overheard a student refusing to accept him as the new king. The student even went as far as to say that he would still follow Zirian. John can't take that kind of nonsense coming from anyone, especially just some low tier. So he mercilessly starts beating up the student. Claire tried to make John stop fighting, but he ignored her and pushed her away. John was beating up the student to such a degree where faculty had to get involved. This showcases the difference between John and traditional royals. Arlo and Serafina use intimidation when they hear people talking bad about them, opposed to John, who just uses fighting to solve his problems. On John's side of things, he was a new king and nobody respected him, so intimidation would not have been the best course of action. Not saying he was justified or anything, just my opinion. Later on that day, Claire went to John's house hoping to get an apology out of him for pushing her earlier. John doesn't think what he did was wrong. Claire was at a loss of words. John lets Claire know that she can't be giving him orders now that he is king. Claire tries to look out for John, although John knows that the school won't do anything to him. She reminds John that the school gave him 2 days suspension as punishment. In spite of the fact, John knows that they can do nothing more than that to him. John abruptly ended the conversation with Claire to do what he wanted to do, without even resolving the problems she had with him. Well guys, that's the end of the video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification icon, and make sure to leave a big fat like, and see you guys next time.